Good evening and welcome to this episode of the Mary Trump Show. I am ecstatic to have as my guest tonight Judy Gold, writer, comedian, actor, host of the podcast Kill Me Now, and author of Yes, I Can Say That. When they come for the comedians, we are all in trouble. And luckily for me, my friend Judy, I have a short list of people I want to scream into the void with, and you are at the top of it. How are you doing?
Oh, Marilla. Thank you. And I have to say ditto. I'm good, but I'm so angry. I was just talking to someone the other day. Yeah, I was talking to my writing partner and we were saying, I never knew that I'm so mad that I have this vitriol and hate that I never knew I had. And it's constantly it's like, who am I? How is it that other people are not as enraged and shocked and just I don't know. It's physically, it's unbearable sometimes.
It is, and it's a new phenomenon for me too, being angry because of all of my anger that's being imposed. It feels like it's being imposed upon us, forced upon us, because there's no other, well, there probably are other sane and much healthier reactions, but I am not a Zen practitioner of Zen, so
Same.
I don't know how you don't be angry. I mean, case in point, what happened in Wyoming last night makes me angry for some reasons I wasn't anticipating. One, I'm angry that people are calling Liz Cheney a fucking hero simply because she's standing up for democracy. Like it's her fucking job. But I'm also angry that she lost by 30 points. One, giving Donald a win, which makes me crazy. Any moment he's not miserable makes me crazy. And two, to this, election denying, big lie, pro January 6th insurrection idiot. And three, because I'm reminded that nobody lives in Wyoming, and yet that, what is it, like 540,000 people have two senators, just like the 39.
Oh my God, I said
million.
Yes, I said that. I said that last night. I'm like, how many people even vote? I was looking at the numbers of people who voted. I'm like, how did they have equal representation? How? It's completely unfair. This whole falling, Liz Cheney, oh, how wonderful Liz Cheney is. Oh, she's so brave. I mean, I don't agree with her. That's the only thing I agree with her on. That is it. That he should never be near the Oval Office again. But let's not forget, she voted with him 93% of the time. Okay? So it's, I don't know. And then did you see the Mark Meadows interview where he wouldn't say if he would vote for fuck piece of shit again? They were asking him, would you vote for him? And he was like, well, I hope the Republicans have another candidate that we can vote for. It's just like party over country. And if one iota of these things happened to Obama, which, can you imagine?
I can't even play that game anymore because we're so beyond the pale.
Yeah, that's
true. I forgot about this. First of all, back to the population one, they were looking at certain counties and the votes were like these absurd numbers, like 2,000. It's like 2,000 people living on my block,
Right.
So
wait, what about how they called it after like 5 minutes, because they know, well, most of the people we have all the information we need. They literally called it when 17% of the votes were in.
Which was like 17 people. I know, it's absolutely absurd. But the other thing that just made me crazy that I hadn't thought about before was when they were talking about the early returns, which still look bad for Cheney, were not blowing her out of the water yet. And whoever it was saying, yeah, but the votes that are going to be coming in are those cast the same day. And I'm like, wait a minute, these are people who know about the FBI search warrant.
Right.
They know that Donald, allegedly, likely, probably committed espionage, and they're still going down this road.
And still with the election was stolen, that Joe Biden isn't really president. Like, seriously, I know that you're a mental health professional, but it's mentally ill. It's also, it's irresponsible, because you know the facts are out there, and you are fine just being, taken over by this cult of personality. Like, it's just, it's so infuriating. I mean, first of all, Fox News is an entertainment news channel. It is opinions. It is bullshit. It is ratings. And also the fact that Biden had an amazing week, but all we talk about is orange fuckface. That's all we talk about.
I saw something, I think it was in the Times, which has been egregious lately. And something like, but just what you said, Biden had a great week, but he can't get out from the shadow of Donald. Like, you're writing about Donald.
It.
Oh my God, have a little self-awareness. And that is, it's been this way for a while, that voters on the right have been convinced to vote against their own self-interest. But you mentioned the extraordinary week that not just Biden and the Democrats have had, but that the American people have had. And now I'm thinking, it's literally, we have a significant minority of people in this country who seem to be one issue voters. And the one issue is their white privilege, because they ain't getting anything else.
That's it. And they don't want to let go of that. But I mean, for climate change, I mean, it's, and the fact that, we have to have the vice president, because they're so like your best friend, Liz Cheney, they're all they will vote against, their entire being is to, not let Democrats succeed. They don't care about you. They don't care about the earth. They don't care about extinction of animals. They don't care about clean water. They don't care about homelessness. They don't care about human rights. They don't care about anything. Their one goal is to, and did you see Biden hand Joe Manchin the pen?
That I want that framed.
Isn't that, and do you see his face? Like, yeah, take it. It was so brilliant. It was so brilliant. There is one good thing in the Times, Mary.
Really?
Yeah, that I think you'll enjoy.
Like a unicorn.
You're going to be really excited. Mm-hmm. The review of Jared Kushner's book is...
It's art.
Isn't it?
It is art. If anybody hasn't read this review yet, do not read the book. Do not buy that book.
Buy the book. Do not watch him on television.
That's right. Don't feed that beast any oxygen. But the review is absolutely worth it. It is, it's just a classic, beautiful takedown of one of the worst people roaming the planet.
Right. Now, I have a question. Well, I think I know the answer.
Okay.
I know it's your show, but whatever.
Right. It's almost Friday.
Do you really think Jared's the one?
This is my my theory. I think I misspoke, or the question was misunderstood or misinterpreted. My answer was misinterpreted. I don't think.
Wait,
I know. Shocking.
Hold on. Yeah. Can someone get the smelling salts?
No, but it's close to the truth. I mean, I don't think Jared turned Donald in because that, he would be implicated. I think once that happened, he was motivated to help them out because he is so closely connected to this. Because let's face it, Donald was not the one sifting through the top secret and sensitive documents, deciding which ones he could sell to the highest bidder.
Yes, yeah.
That was Jared. And, I've said this many times before. Every single relationship in that family is conditional and transactional. Jared comes from a legitimate wealthy family. They have much more money than Donald or my grandfather ever did. Jared is not going to prison if turning Donald in will get him off the hook. Right. It's that simple. Neither is Ivanka, by the way. Donnie and Eric are too stupid.
They're such idiots.
No, because look, Ivanka, would end up with nothing. Because between what's happening with Tish James, thankfully, because Alvin Bragg is either horrible at his job or he's on the take. I'm not sure which. But between Tish James, E. Jean Carroll, and Fonnie Willis in Fulton County, Georgia, and a few other things going on, there's not going to be a lot left here.
Right.
So Ivanka would want to stay married to Jared because, again, he actually has money.
And what about Alan Weisselberg?
But that's what I'm saying about Alvin Bragg. His top prosecutors were ready to indict Donald. Alvin Bragg comes in.
I know. What is that?
I don't know. For him to come in and so quickly quash that investigation, which had been going on for quite a long time. And, two prosecutors resigned in protest over that, which is a red flag. And now Ellen Weisselberg, who, as chief financial officer of the Trump organization, who's been there, by the way, since the 70s. He worked for my grandfather in Brooklyn. He knows where everybody is buried. He's probably buried some of them himself. And he's getting 5 months. He pled guilty. He has a plea agreement, and he doesn't have to cooperate. So what the fuck?
Right. The plea agreement and the non-cooperation, I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all.
Yeah.
I also feel like Alvin was, when he was running, I thought, didn't he say he was going to continue this and get to the bottom of this? And then he gets in there and does nothing.
The only thing I'm hoping is that Tish James is playing some kind of three-dimensional chess, right?
Yeah.
And potentially Governor Hochul can move the case over to Tish James because she is fabulous.
She's amazing.
And because only Black women are saving us. And
let's just mention that we have Stacey Abrams.
Yep.
We have Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Yep.
The most qualified.
That's right.
I think in the history of the Supreme Court,
mm-hmm.
with the most experience. It's going to be
Latasha Brown.
Oh, I love her.
Right. Nicole Hannah-Jones. These are
the women who are going to save us.
And I try. It's my policy on my show not to criticize Democrats on policy issues. One, because for the most part, they're knocking it out of the park with like the slimmest margin, literally the slimmest margin possible. And, 80% of the time it's 48 Democrats and 52 Republicans because of Manchin and Sinema. However, on Tuesdays, I have a show dedicated to talking about electoral strategies. Because the Dems need help. We're living, and I want to talk to you about this in a second, but we're living in this bizarre time where the Democrats can be getting all of these phenomenal policies that will help the American people in place, and the Republicans are only interested in armed insurrection, killing people with COVID, destroying all LGBTQ plus rights, destroying women's rights, destroying reproductive justice, and making people of color, especially Black people in this country, second-class citizen, on and on and on. And yet we're still white-knuckling it. Okay.
Right.
So I think whenever we can offer the Democrats constructive criticism, my biggest problem with the Democratic Party all along has been, you should treat your base the way the Republican Party treats its base. Like, the Republican Party's base is a bunch of white supremacist, Nazi, misogynistic, racist assholes, right? And the Republican Party pays fealty to them and bends over backwards for them.
Right.
Our base is predominantly Black women who want this country to succeed for everybody. Like, I even hate saying Republican based, Democratic based, because that kind of equates them, and they have nothing in common. Right. So, that's the only thing. Like, I think the Democratic
Okay, I have one other thing that is annoying me with the Democrats, and I don't want to say anything either. I want to, I think we should talk about all the success that we've had, but get some balls. I can't. Chuck Schumer speaks like he's saying the Mourner's Kaddish. That is how he talks.
That's very true.
Every interview, it's like, and like, even when they were, Lisa said to me, look at him when they were signing, the legislation, and he's like, and it's just like a little boy clapping. They're fearless. They lie with, impunity. Like, they are just, it's, the emperor has no clothes. We have clothes. Let's, like, literally, we got to get, I think they need more comedians helping them with their speeches and stuff.
They do. And that's why I think the January 6th committee is doing such a great job with its hearing, not because it hired comedians, although I don't think that would work with the January 6th, but they hired professionals who understand how presentation works. They understand optics. They understand editing. Imagine the editing job that went into.
I can't imagine.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So that matters. That shit really matters. And by, like, Democrats always think, well, we're fighting for you by passing these laws and implementing these policies. Yeah, but one, not everybody gets that message. And two, people want to see you fighting with actual fighting. Like, deluded people actually think that Donald is fighting for them. So you need to take those opportunities. And I think another good example involving Chuck Schumer is that he was scheduled to be on the Rachel Maddow show the day of the raid, I think, last, 7 billion years ago, last Monday, I think it was. And, so she started the show talking about the FBI search warrants, et cetera. And, Republicans were coming out and saying the most horrific things about the FBI and, just slanderous and dangerous shit that is going to get people killed. And Rachel Maddow asked him to comment, and he won't comment. And okay, don't comment on the investigation. Nobody knows anything, but can you please push back against this insanity? Can you please put them back in their box and let everybody know that this will not stand? I mean, come on, guys.
It's like, everyone doesn't have to like you. We understand you respect other people's beliefs and values, but come on.
But that's also got to stop. Like, respect what? Like, what is there to respect on the right?
Yeah, exactly. It really pisses me off. Like, that's why I loved when Beto called that heckler a motherfucker.
Yes.
That's what we need. We need people calling that shit out. And you can say, oh, he used foul language, which would be one of their things to say. Meanwhile, the fact that I, years ago, watched, like, Andrea Mitchell say shithole countries on national television, don't fucking, no. You got to call these people out. That's why Al Franken was a great senator. He was fearless. He was a comedian. He's dealt with this shit. Zelensky is a great leader because he was a comedian, and he is fearless, and he's, he knows how to control a room. And we need more of that. I mean, I think Katie Porter, she's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
She's fucking phenomenal. She takes no shit from anyone. She has her little whiteboard. She shoves it in their fucking face.
Yep.
And she tells them to shut the fuck up when it's time for them to, when they, and that's what we need more of.
We
and
do.
Now, wait, what about Liz? Liz on the Today Show admitting she's thinking about running for president. Liz Cheney.
Oh, Liz Cheney. Yeah. Well, listen, Liz Cheney has a chance to prove whether she is as much of a political hack as the people she's condemning right now, or if she really is interested. Well, she's not interested in democracy because she votes against the Voting Rights Act all the time. But you know what I'm saying? At least if she wants to prove that she really is sincere about getting the insurrectionists out of American government, then she will run as a Republican, not as an independent.
Right. Yeah. And this Forward Party with Andrew Yang, who they won't even say, what they're for or against.
Because if they did, every single thing would be what the Democrats stand for.
Right. Exactly.
Well, I don't know why Christine Todd Whitman is doing this, but
because she's a fucking fake Republican.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Like, does anybody know outside of New Jersey know who she is? Right. I mean, it's mystifying. But this is because Andrew Yang and David Jolly have massive egos. David Jolly's feelings are hurt because he's out of power. Don't let anybody think for a second that David Jolly isn't a hardcore Republican.
Right.
He just doesn't like Donald.
Right.
He's probably happy with everything else that's going on, but he also understands that saying that doesn't work, because then, well, why are you doing a third party then?
Right. Right.
They stand for nothing.
They have no platform whatsoever. But who are they going to take votes away from?
The Democrats.
Right.
And that leads me to another related issue. What is the deal with people already talking about 2024 and undermining Joe Biden, who again has been nothing?
But it's the fact that the media is complicit. That's what the problem is that even the people who, say, the liberal media, and even the networks that are supposedly liberal, this is what they focus on.
Right. They're asking the fucking question.
Yes. And it's destructive. It's like you say, you every night you get on, you talk about Democratic policies, what's wrong, and then you undermine us. You completely undermine us. This, infatuation with, Trump brings ratings. It's salacious. It's, and instead of, guess what happened last week? Guess what we passed last week? Guess how much better your life is going to be?
Right.
It never. It's like, that passed, but let's get back to that fucking piece of shit. And that's exactly what he wants. That's exactly what he wants.
It's exactly what he wants. And is Biden going to run? He's old. Like, did you think he was going to get younger? I mean, we kind of knew how old he was, right? And it's keeping, continuing to give energy to something that should have been out of the public eye a long time ago. And I mean, I mostly blame the Republicans for this because they've had a million off ramps to take and have taken none of them. If they weren't going to take the January 6th off ramp, they certainly aren't going to take the FBI espionage off ramp. But it is the idea that they're not calling on, but speculating about whether or not Biden should run 2024. And yet I don't believe once did anybody in the media suggest that Donald
should
despite incarcerating
man, woman,
kidnapped children,
camera, child.
Right. Or that he should resign, that he should be impeached, or that he shouldn't run again. Not one time. And that's, where that gets us back to.
Well, it's like happened last night with Liz. She gave this speech, and everyone's covering the speech. And then what's the first thing? What's the next thing that happens? What did he say on Truth fucking lie antisocial.
What
What
did
did he say? Yeah.
while
Yeah.
lying?
Yeah. So it is our addiction to histrionics, and I believe that it all started with reality television. It all started with the OJ case, pretty much,
Oh,
the OJ
yeah,
chase.
that's true.
And that is what this country, and it's interesting because I was in Israel, and you travel abroad, and even when I have people in my audience from other countries, I say to them, what do you think? Like, what are you guys thinking? And are you like, what happened over there? And they're like, yeah, we thought you were the fucking greatest. Everyone looked up to you. And then this fucking schlemiel comes over, and it's not even like Liz Cheney and all these other Republicans can, say, oh, the policies that, I agree with his policies. It's just that his character, you're representing a fucking nation of people, and you behave like a fucking 1-year-old.
Yep.
You wouldn't let your child behave like that. They would be reprimanded, and you're allowing this person to represent like with other like it's so infuriating.
And Cheney voted for him twice, so don't give me that shit.
Yeah,
about,
fuck you. Yeah, I know, and I hate Dick.
Well, for him to come out with a video,
I know,
taking Donald to task for lying. Yes, Mr.
I mean,
war criminal. Thank
yeah,
you for your input. Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
And the Washington Post today is, we need more Republicans like Liz Cheney. Like, no,
we don't. No, we don't need them.
And it's not happening. This party, it needs to be burnt to the ground and rebuilt in a totally different.
The whole party has not that. Like, what about fucking Lindsey Graham? You motherfucking. First of all, he's gay. He is gay. Everyone. I don't have proof. I have proof in my gaydar. And the whisperings of gay men around me. He's a bachelor. He's a fucking asshole. Like, the fact that we have video of him saying what a piece of shit orange fuckface is. And then, like, they literally, we have like even fucking Bible thumping Marco Rubio, this motherfucker's Ted Cruz. And they still, like, how do you go to sleep at night?
So, Judy, what I'm hoping.
Sorry.
No, this is like every day of my life, because it's almost impossible to unplug. And we're in double-digit territory. I think there are 82 days, 81 whatever days left until the midterms. And
are you nervous?
I'm terrified because if we lose, it's over. I'm sorry. Imagine the House in the hands of these they're morons. They're anti-American Christo-fascists.
I mean, I have gotten on Twitter just comments from people saying, you live in a Christian country. And I'm like, I don't live in a Christian country. I know I'm getting into the Jew stuff, but you think about,
are you qualified to do that?
I'm almost done with my rabbinical studies, but I had a Holocaust survivor on my podcast several months ago, and I wanted her to tell the story because of what was going on in Ukraine. And I wanted her to tell her story, and I'm going to have more Holocaust survivors on because the fact that these people who, came over here because of what was happening in their country, that this is a systematic killing of a group of Jews. That's what they wanted, to exterminate all the Jews. Okay. They come over here. This woman who I was speaking to, I said, do you see similarities? They all say this is exactly how it happened. It's like out of the playbook. And and no one else sees that. No one else, I remember as a little girl being like, well, how come no one did anything? And why didn't you do anything? And they were like, we didn't think it was going to get worse. And we didn't, and we just thought this and we thought that. And here we are. It's history repeating itself.
It absolutely is. And it's not that, it's not like they're hiding anything. And that's the part that I find so disturbing. It's not subtle. You know, we've got these khaki-clad tiki torch bearing Nazis roaming down in Charlottesville
with Nazi flags, with
swastikas, saying Jews will not replace us. I mean, I mean, maybe that means something else. I'm not sure,
but we can't because we're less than 2% of the population. Okay. Also,
I'm from New York, and that seems bizarre to me. Because,
I know we're less than 2%. Over 60. We're 67% of hate crimes, religious hate crimes. But I was just reading something about, you know, they want to ban the Diary of Anne Frank, you know, this book banning books stuff. And yet in Germany, you know, they bring their school children on class trips to the concentration camps so that it won't happen again.
That's right.
And yet we have Holocaust revisionists, Holocaust deniers. We are dumb. They dumbed us down, and here's the results. Enjoy.
And you know, and there's a direct corollary. We have monuments to Confederate soldiers.
Right.
We fly our own swastika. And, you know, that swastika, well, there were actual swastikas and Confederate flags at the Capitol on January 6th. And it's the same fucking thing. It leads to the same place if it goes unchecked and unchallenged. And I think we're seeing a prototype of what is in our future in Florida, thanks to, you know, Ron DeSantis, Republican from hell, who is first of all, anytime he talks in front of a group, he's got uniformed law enforcement standing behind him.
You see, and he's like, ugh. He's taken so many physical traits from your fucking asshole uncle. You know, you could tell he studied him.
It's creepy.
Yeah.
And I think in a way, this election is one of the reasons it's so dangerous, and one of the reasons I think that, you know, we're not in relay race territory, we're in sprint territory, and we all have to be, you know, ready to go, is because there are so many things that have been going on, so many bad things that have been happening, that just as with Donald, it's impossible to keep them all in front of mind if they don't directly affect you.
Right.
So we're as we said earlier, we're looking at the horrific Dobbs decision and what's happening with pregnant people, pregnant children, rape victims. I mean, any pregnant child is a rape victim or victim of incest, obviously. You know, the travel bans that they're trying to implement, life begins at conception, total bad, no exceptions, ectopic pregnancies, medical it's insanity. Then they're going after the LGBTQ community. Obergefell is going to be next. There will be no same-sex marriage anymore. There will be no marriage equality. There will be no interracial marriage. They're going after everything. And I think some people still don't understand that because it seems impossible in 2022. And yet here we are. So we see Florida, and he's doing all of this. You know, they're taking down posters of famous, accomplished Black people.
Did you see that?
Yeah,
that poor guy. He's a special ed teacher, and he had all of these posters up in his classroom, and they said it was not age appropriate. Since when is Harriet Tubman, Martin Luther King Jr., Barack Obama, what age? What does that mean? People, they have a lack of teachers in Florida.
Well, so they're letting vets who have no training,
right,
in education starting to teach. I'm like, what the fuck is that all about?
Yeah,
and you know,
and they hate the vet. They don't take care of the vets. Look what Jon Stewart had to go through.
They hate everybody basically who's not like them, and they also hate comedians because they don't have any, because they They have
right, because they can't compete, cannot compete.
So they are coming for the comedians. So we should all
well,
be.
that's what, the book,
Yeah.
we speak truth to power because we don't care. We don't,
I want to talk about your book because I
Mhm.
want everybody to read this book. It is
I love you.
it's brilliant. It is timely in a way you may not have thought it was when you wrote it, actually. I mean, it was then, but I think it's even more timely.
Right.
No, I mean, they're banning books right and left. They're burning books in some places. Don't say gay in Florida, which, by the way, and this is something that always makes me insane, they sexualize gayness.
Right.
And even though there are children in third grade who have gay parents, and it's just like they're parents. It's not about their sex lives.
That girl there's a kindergartner who was adopted by a gay family, these two women, and she got kicked out of school. Like, what is that?
Well, I mean, I guess it's better than having her stay in the school because obviously they're homophobic creeps. But yes, it's absolutely mind blowing. And in your book, yes, I can say that. And I'm going to get the subtitle wrong. When they come for the comedians, we're all in trouble.
Yes.
Woo! Do I get something? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's what you do is you look at the First Amendment through the lens of stand-up comedians whose job it is to push the envelope and make us uncomfortable sometimes.
Right.
So I want you to talk a little bit about how you see that playing out now, and some things in the book that could help people maybe understand where we are and how to make sense, because it's all chaos. It's all a nightmare. And, I think it can be really helpful just to kind of lay things out in a way that just, helps us think straighter, which is very hard to do.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. In the book, I wrote it in 2019, 2020. And so I was fascinated by the fact that these, well, mostly your orange fuckface uncle could get away with lies and hate speech and speech that literally kills people. I mean, literally causes violence and incites violence. And yet a comedian tells a joke and you don't like that joke, so they should never be able to get on stage again. Number one, we did this to ourselves because we decided everyone gets a trophy. You get a trophy for winning the race and breaking the record, and you get a trophy for smiling while he did it. No, everyone's point of view is not at the same level. There's some that have evidence that backs up their point of view. There's people who from different backgrounds, and that is what informs comedians. Like you are telling a story. A great comedian will make you laugh and think, but also they will let you see the world through their lens. What is it like to be a gigantic Jewish lesbian mother in this world? I am telling you about my life, and you are watching me thinking, oh my God, that's the same issue I have. Oh yeah. Oh, I have that with my kids. And you think about a disabled comic who gets on stage and you're like, wait, what's going on with that person? They acknowledge that. And then you love them for making you laugh. And then the next time you encounter someone with that disability, you're like, oh, I saw that comedian. Comedy brings people together, but it's also a weapon, and it disarms people. And that is why your fucking disgusting uncle couldn't go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
That's right.
That is why.
Or the Kennedy Center honors, even though I know that's not comedy, but you know what I'm saying? He's challenged by creativity.
Any creativity, any disarmament. And also, he wanted SNL investigated. Now, there's a story in there about the Smothers Brothers, who were unfairly canceled. Right. They were very, very anti-Vietnam War.
Especially the tall blonde one. He was very I can never tell them apart. I mean, I don't know which one is which, but they're brilliant.
They're brilliant. And if you go back and watch some of the episodes, so much of the stuff is still relevant today.
Yeah, and they're subversive in the way Rod Serling was.
Right. And so, they were unfairly fired. And at the time, Lyndon Johnson, who was not, he was president and his daughters loved the show, but he was fodder for them. And after they were fired, Lyndon Johnson wrote them a letter basically saying, it is my honor, even though it wasn't fun at times, this is what makes America, I don't want to say great, but it is what makes America great, is that, in this country, you are allowed to do that. And although it wasn't fun for me, I wish you the best. Thank you for entertaining, so we have gone from a network television show like that, a network television show, Maude, which before Roe v. Wade was even passed, you could get an abortion in New York, but not. They had an episode, a 2-part episode where she has an abortion.
I still remember that, and
I remember that episode,
and we were young. But
I went back and watched it again. But you see how stand up and satire and humor is uniquely American. It is really an extension of the First Amendment, and you are silencing the people who are telling the truth.
Exactly.
Because you feel threatened, because you don't have that weaponry. You don't, when someone puts you in your place and, people are quote unquote laughing at you, and you have nothing, you can either say, you know what, you're right, which is what every president did at the White House Correspondents' Center. They were able to acknowledge their flaws, and be self-aware. This one's not, and so I feel like once you shut down comics, because they did it in Nazi Germany, you weren't allowed to make fun of Hitler. You would get killed. There were jokes you could not say. You would literally be killed. And we're at the point where this whole banning of books and banning of ideas and not thinking something's funny. You know what? None of the jokes are about you. None of them. They are not about you. No comic was thinking about your childhood trauma when they wrote their material. So, this selfishness, this coddling of, oh my God, the safe space idea. There's no safe space. You have to realize the world is not a loving, caring place most of the time, And I feel that comedy is a coping mechanism. Comedy is medicinally great for you. Comedy creates an intimacy, among strangers in a room. Sitting where you could hate the person next to you on paper, but you're sitting there laughing together, and it creates this intimacy. And when you shut down comedians, that is the end of free speech. That's the truth.
Yeah, because it challenges people's preconceptions, and I think by focusing on, and look, jokes go wrong.
Oh please, right.
But it's like watching somebody, I imagine sometimes if, as a writer, people got to see my first drafts, it would be
right. That's exactly, you are right on. It's exactly like that. A painter doesn't paint a quarter of a mural, invite an audience over to ask if they should put the sun over here and the tree over here. We can only do our job in front of an audience. You give us the information we need. And yet you fire us, then you cancel us because, as George Carlin said, it is the comedian's job to go over the line, find the line, cross the line, and make you glad that they did.
Exactly.
And, you cannot shut someone down for doing their work. And that's why I love the Comedy Cellar. You are not allowed to bring a phone in there. They lock up all the phones for the audience members. I've had so many times things taken out of context, and because of social media, it's just ballooned.
Well, we saw what happened with Kathy Griffin.
As time goes on, I said this to her the other day, as time goes on, you look at that, the ketchup, and how it was ketchup, and then we find out he threw ketchup across and it was a mask,
It
and
aged well.
it's like, it's amazing. Fuck.
But what the trouble we get into is when, and this is what they do all the time with any kind of speech they don't like or any kind of protest they don't like, they focus on that and the message gets completely overlooked. Just like with the Beto thing. I know this wasn't comedy, but Beto, in a very human way, reacted to somebody who was laughing while Beto's talking about the slaughter of children in Uvalde, and they focus on the fact that that Beto said motherfucker, instead of the fact that there is an actual human being who laughed while discussing the fact that 21 children were murdered with an assault. I mean, what the fuck?
But Pocahontas is fine. Pocahontas is fine.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
But yeah, it's like, and the intent, that's the thing. What is the comedian's intent? You take that away, there's nothing.
Exactly. And we see them, by them, I mean the right. They are trying to get rid of, I mean, they're coming after the 14th Amendment. They're coming after the First Amendment, first with protests. Now it's just stuff they don't like people saying, and I mean, they've already decided this illegitimate, craven, despicable Supreme Court majority has already decided that we're a Christian country, because it doesn't matter that Jews and Muslims have very different ideas about when life begins, and they have very different ideas about how to handle unwanted or unviable, non-viable pregnancies. And of course, they certainly don't give a shit what atheists have to say about anything. So, it's this full court press. And again, I think it's very difficult for people who've been allowed to take the fact that we live in a democracy for granted. And as you mentioned earlier, who are no longer taught properly. We don't teach civics. People don't understand how government works. They just think, oh, well, the Democrats are in power now, and then it'll be the Republicans, and they're all kind of both the same. Thank you, media, as if what anything Biden has done that is not what we would wish is anywhere near as horrific as the best bad thing Donald did. So I think that also leaves us at a real disadvantage, because it always feels like we're already walking around with one hand tied behind our backs because of the fact that the Senate is anti-democratic, the Electoral College, gerrymandering, the filibuster, all that other stuff. So, how do we? One of the things that we try to do here is kind of give people things to hang on to. I'm not sure you and I are in the best space to do that.
I know.
Right
We're such. I know.
Sorry.
We want to leave you with something positive that you can.
Well, not exactly that, but because I'm not feeling positive, but I'm not feeling hopeless. Let's put it that way. And again, we're about less than 3 months out. Most important election of our lifetime. What do you think would be the one thing? Because again, people have to work 3 jobs because of the Republicans, et cetera, et cetera. If you could pick one thing that could be the most unifying message to focus on, because I think it does come down, we definitely need to talk about all the good things that are being done, but we also need to talk seriously in terms of the threats. So, what out of all of the terrible things that we're facing do you think could be the most galvanizing?
Oh my God, what a question. I mean, it's just so hard to say because, for me as a mother, I really worry about climate change. I think that it is the biggest threat we have. And I think if everyone could agree, look, we have, we were given this, we have this land, we have we have Earth, and we need to take care of it. And it doesn't matter if you're black, white, green, orange, what you believe in. If you want your grandkids to survive, if you want your values passed on, then you have to take care of the earth, because we're going to be gone. And I think that they should all think about, I think about this all the time. I'm sure you think about this with Avery. Like, how long are you going to be able to stay outside in the summer? What's going to be gone? What's going to be underwater? How are you going to have to shift the way you live because of all this irresponsible, childish, selfish behavior by people? It's about take yourself out of it and look at your grandchildren and what you're leaving behind, because it's sad. And I ask my kids all the time, aren't you worried? And they're like, yeah. I mean, I see, look, you see it. You said, oh, you're tan. I put on 50, 70. I can't go. I mean, sunscreen, that is. I see, I'm here at the Cape. It has changed. So the shoreline has changed so much. You go to the Dead Sea in Israel, they have dates where the Dead Sea was in 1968, 1974, in 1983, and you see it's drying up. The Hoover Dam is drying up. It's the Grand Canyon. I mean, come on, people. If we could all just get together and for the next generation and the generation after that, leave them something,
Yeah, I think that the fact that this bill passed is extraordinary. Obviously, it isn't enough, but let's worry about that another time. It's the same thing with the gun
Right.
safety. It's not nearly enough, but it started something,
right?
Which is better than the nothing we've been getting for decades now. And you're right. Things are getting worse consistently, and with increasing rapidity, because we're not doing anything. And it is terrifying, to have a 20-year-old kid. And it's so funny you say, you must think about Avery. I was thinking, earlier today, because we've just heard that something like a third of countries won't have water in 2060. And I'm like, Jesus, she's still, she's gonna be like 60. She's still gonna be, have plenty of life left, and probably children, hopefully not grandchildren yet, but children. And if she wants to have them, and that's really soon. And we're not prepared. I think with climate change that it's one of those things that the people in government, which is of course why we need more Democrats. They need to do the work, and then I think people will start to notice. I think the Republicans have just destroyed people's ability to see this issue clearly with the help of the media. I don't know if you saw this, but the generic polling came out, and since May there have been significant moves towards the Democrats. Like D+4, D+5 among, depending on the demographic. With dads, it's +28.
Wow.
And I'm guessing that's because of the Dobbs decision. I'm guessing these are fathers with daughters who are like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And you know what? I hope fathers with sons, because that's the other thing we don't do well enough. We don't explain to people. You have 2 sons. We don't explain to people why this decision is horrific for young men as well.
Right. I do. I do. I tell them.
You do.
Yes, of course. And they know. And it's, it's a really such an assault. It is an assault on women. And
then, Avery has friends who are like, oh, well, I was going to go look at grad school in that state, but I guess I can't
I'm not
now.
going. Yeah. Sad.
It's sad, but we have comedians
Yeah, we have laughter. Laughter.
And you've been really busy, which is great to see, especially after COVID.
Yeah, I have to create all my own shit, Mary. Okay, I have, being a woman in comedy over 50, soon to be 60, you're invisible. You're invisible. It's like, we don't want to hear what you want to, but I've never been funnier. I've lived on this earth for almost 60 years. I'm funny and I don't give a shit. And it's just, yeah, it's crazy. Comedy should not have a demographic.
It really shouldn't, because again, it is one of those things where you do get better at it.
Right.
It's not like you age out of being funny. You just get better at it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like a musician. Wouldn't you want to go see,
Joni Mitchell at the Newport
Oh
Jazz
my
Festival?
God.
I mean, is anybody telling Joni Mitchell to go home because she's too fucking old? No, I don't think so. So it is. Judy, we have a lot of work to do. Or should I call you Julie? No, I'm kidding.
No, call me Julie. Did you ever know that you're okay? Julie Gold wrote that song,
I didn't. I know.
Yeah, she did. And her mother and when they were alive, and my mother, she would always text me I don't think we had text. She would email me about, they mentioned my name on Regis and Kathy Lee, and they thought it was you. And it was like, and it's just so funny because she's short and a musician, Jewish lesbian, and I'm tall and a comedian, Jewish lesbian.
Well, you're like the same person then.
Yeah, we are, exactly.
Oh my God, Julie.
Oh my God.
No, I'm kidding. I did it on purpose.
All right, thank you.
Judy, I'm well, I've been told. I seriously, these are dark times, and we first got back together. We've known each other for 20 years now, and we first got back in touch in 2020 because I don't know, something happened that year that made it seem like we should get back in touch. Oh, I started existing. I think that's what happened. So I don't know that we would have anticipated that we would be in kind of a worse spot in some ways. But again, like, you're one of those people I rely on, and you put things in perspective in a way that I find extraordinarily helpful.
Oh, thank you.
And you guys,
so fucking smart. Yeah.
Well, you're brilliant. You're brilliantly funny. Oh. And everybody, check out Kill Me Now. It's fucking hysterical. And it's, one of the things I love about your podcast, it's a really deep dive.
Yes.
And it's, you spend 2 episodes with one person, and it's phenomenal. You learn things that you're not going to learn anywhere else about people who are worth knowing.
Right.
Right. And, yes, I can say that is compulsory. You must go by it.
Oh, you're the best.
And I just appreciate your coming on. It was great to see you. Hopefully I love one of these days, either on the Cape
yes,
or New York.
please.
Absolutely. All right. Well, in the meantime, stay safe. It was great to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime.
Gesund.
Thank you to my guest, my friend, Judy Gold. That was awesome. She is so funny and so intelligent about this stuff we're facing. And I'm not kidding. You really do need to read her book. It's quite something. I learned a lot from it. And it's really hysterical as well. So that is it. Thank you so much for listening. As always, you will be able to catch us next Tuesday for the strategy sessions. That's at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific at youtube.com/Politicon. And of course, next Thursday, we'll have our regular interview show at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, also at youtube.com/Politicon. And while you're on Politicon's YouTube page, please subscribe to Politicon. It's free. It just helps spread the word about all the good stuff Politicon does. And like the episode and click on the bell because that way you will be sure to receive notice when any new videos drop, not just the episodes, but also the short videos I've been doing. I'm trying to do those a couple of times a week. And of course, you can listen on Apple or anywhere else you get your podcasts. And please do give us a 5-star review because it does help other people find the show. And as I mentioned, we are in double-digit territory ahead of the midterm elections, and we want to keep as many people as possible informed and help everybody understand why this is indeed the most important election of our lifetime. It is not hyperbole. It is the quite terrifying truth. So thank you all again for being here. Have an amazing weekend, and I will see you next Tuesday. In the meantime, please stay safe and be kind.